Welcome, rebels, one and all, to another exciting edition of I Rebel. I'm Andrew Fantasia, and this is
James Razile.
Hello, James Razile. We are rebelling today on I Rebel. We're rebelling against pretty much everything, right? Anything and everything we can. I mean,
Totally.
Government, establishment, anything. That's the kind of people we are. This week, starting now until this show is over, I'm going to rebel specifically against my old self, who would sit too far from the microphone and not give you guys the clear audio that you deserve, which I apologize for, by the way. That was just dumbness on my part.
Now you're going to get blasted for mic popping.
I'm going to get blasted for so much mic hopping. So let's dive right in, though, and I'm going to get nice and close to this. Mike and I we're really going to like each other by the time this is over. And by the way, if I sound different, I'm getting over a cold. So, yeah, sorry, James. You will catch everything I have. But don't worry, my voice is going to go back to its non-sexy self when all is said and done.
Probably in like a month.
Probably in a month, yeah.
We might be recording more than one of these at a time.
Exactly. So this cold is going to last. So because it's crunch time, we're getting closer and closer to the release of Season 4. Hot damn, when's it coming out, James?
I don't know. October 16th. It's a Monday this year. Last year they were on Saturdays. This year, for some reason, it's on Monday, October 16th. And I was on the Collider.com because I couldn't find the times for it. And Collider.com was the only one that had times that I could find. And it's at 12 a.m. I don't know. I feel like that's wrong. But they might be doing what they did with DuckTales because they also had it like every other hour. So I don't know. But we're going to, if it's earlier than that, at a reasonable time, we will be doing a live show while we watch Rebels.
That'll be ideal, and I'm glad that they announced this date in October rather than September, because it gives us more time,
a lot more,
to do I Rebel. But because we're getting closer to the date, we're gonna start packing in more episodes of Rebels into these I Rebels. So normally up to this point we've been doing 3 episodes each. Now we're going to do 4, and we might end up doing 5 in the future, depending on
we
how
might
quick
just
we
do an entire season.
Yeah, it might just be a 7-hour
We're
video
not.
of us doing this. But we're going to go with 4 today, and we'll see how that works. So right now, if you're keeping track at home, we are at Season 2, Episode 10, The Future of the Force.
But this was actually like a callback to a Clone Wars episode, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, yeah. There was a Clone Wars with a really similar theme to it. I love this episode. This is a really cool one. And speaking of keeping track of things at home, we've been keeping track of all the new planets that Rebels likes to give us. There's lots of new planets on this show. And we got a new planet in this one, which bumps us up to, if you're keeping track, 8. Rebels has given us 8 new worlds in the Star Wars universe. But they did something weird here. They didn't tell us what this planet's name is.
Yeah, it was Lethalcat.
Lethalcat. It's this planet of like apartment buildings. It's really bright and colorful.
It reminded me of a world from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh my
I don't
God,
know.
yeah.
I don't know what it was,
Like,
but I was like, I want to play Kingdom Hearts.
Like a hub world in like a 3D Sonic game.
Yeah.
So if this planet has a name, shout out, let us know what it's called. I'm sure it's just a Google search away, but we didn't do that kind of research because we're hardcore like that. But yeah, I like this planet, whatever it is. Now, this episode involves Force babies. And Palpatine, though we don't see him, Palpatine has ordered the Inquisitors to kidnap Force babies, just as he was wont to do in the Clone Wars, and use them for what we think are further Inquisitor training purposes in the future. Like, he just wants more Inquisitors, long story short. And so Ezra, Kanan, and Zeb find out about this, and they're like, no, you're not taking babies. That is sick. You're not doing that. So they stop these kidnappings and end up in another tussle with the Inquisitors. And just the whole mixture of this planet of apartments mixed with them taking on the Inquisitors and running and hiding from them, it reminded me a lot of The Raid. You saw The Raid, right?
No.
Oh, you didn't see The Raid.
I've seen the part in The Force Awakens where the guys from The Raid are in it.
That's right. They were heavily utilized.
Is it just as exciting as that part?
Exactly as exciting. Do you know what the plot of The Raid is?
I don't know.
Have you seen the movie Dread?
I own Dread.
But have you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I watched on a plane once and it was awkward.
Awkward and a.
Well, no, because it's so bloody.
That's true. Yeah,
And there
that's
was
not
like a
an
kid
airplane.
behind me, so I kept like pausing and look like, "Are you? I don't want you looking at this." And I would go, and then I was like, "Don't just." I'm like trying to cover it. It was on my iPad, so I was like, "Don't look at it."
I can't wait for the day when I can watch the movie alive on an airplane.
Ooh, that'll never happen.
Until then, the raid is basically Dread with martial arts. It's a bunch of good guys and a bunch of bad guys in a building trying to meet each other in the middle, and they're just fighting it out. And that's what this felt like to me.
So awesome.
It's so good. And the sequel's even better. But you got our small group of rebels in this apartment saving this baby. They're holding a baby the whole time. And the Inquisitors are coming after them, stalking them through this apartment building. And it's great. It's a lot of fun. Thank you. Woo, our set is falling apart. Wow, we fixed that really fast. And it ends with, some lightsaber duels. And we get this friggin' dope shot of the doors to the hangar opening as they're about to escape. And out comes Miss Ahsoka Tano.
And Ahsoka says, "Don't breathe into me." And Ahsoka, you guys didn't hear that. Sorry. Ahsoka says, "I know what you want with those kids."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she was there.
But nobody really. They never go further into explaining it either. Like that's it.
Yeah, it's just like if you want to know, there might as well have just been a little asterisk on the
Yeah.
screen, like to find out what Ahsoka's talking about. See season 3. But no, she comes out, she saves the day, and it's a great fight. We never saw. I don't think we've seen Ahsoka really cut loose up until this point as an adult, have we?
I don't know. And this we just did top 5 lightsaber battles on the podcast, and I didn't have any. I used to use the movies because I try to keep a lot of things to the movies usually. But Brock put in Twilight of the Apprentice, which we'll get into next week, I think, and with Maul and Ahsoka and Kanan and the Inquisitor, and I was like, that's an awesome one. I forgot how good this fight was. This is actually a really, really. It's short, but it's a really good fight.
Oh yeah, there's it's just a pump up for us as fans to see Ahsoka come back. And by the way, I agreed with Brock's number 1, Vader and Luke in Jedi. That fight is just off the hook. That's a good
it's
fight.
not Phantom Menace though.
It's not Phantom Menace. No, that's a sexy fight. We used to reenact that in the schoolyard. That was a good fight.
People want to argue, but it's the best one. Suck it.
Now, there was a question that this episode brought up. Like you said, she mentions the Clone Wars episode where this happened before, and she brings up a good point. When she mentions this thing happening in the past, she doesn't specify that it was Mr. Sheev himself who was doing this. She just says a Sith Lord.
Yeah. Does she know it's Sheev?
That's the thing. Not a lot of people know that Sidious and Sheev are the same, but I would assume that if anybody does know, it would be Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Bail Organa.
But even still, would she know that the Sith Lord was Sheev way back then? Would she know that it was the same one?
Not her, but I think Obi-Wan and Yoda would have known that, and they would have told Organa, and he would have told her because she's tight with Bail Organa. So that kind of confused me. I was like, wouldn't he have said, "Hey, just so you know, Palpatine was behind the Clone Wars the whole time"?
I don't think she knows.
Yeah, maybe she just doesn't care, and she's just like, I'm just fighting bad guys now. I don't even care who they are. So let's go right into episode 211, Legacy. Legacy. This was beautiful. This is what I think a prime example of how Rebels is not just another cartoon. It's not just a kids show. This can be heavy stuff when Disney wants it to be, and in this point, they wanted it to be, and it worked. This is where we learn, like 100% sure, the fate of Ezra's parents. And it's not good.
It's not?
It's not a good fate.
I have a question for you. Just side Akbar right here, just for you. The ratings for Rebels are not as good as they were for the Clone Wars. And we just did a thing with Josh on Friday where he talked about how the downloads are incredible. Do you think, though, because you just said this isn't your average kids show, average kids cartoon, do you think that in some ways hurts it? Because here's why. Because it is not necessarily for kids, but the animation is more for children. Like it's they're round and they're fun and the colors. I mean, it's getting darker as it goes on, but it's colorful and the palettes and all that. And so I hear a lot of adult fans complaining about that. They're like, no, it's for kids. Do you think that, like, I'll give my opinion after, but how do you feel about, like, do you think that helps or hurts the show? Not personally, but just as like a commercial,
like ratings wise.
Yeah, like, because I mean, it's great for us, but is it good for the demographic?
That's a good question. I don't think that the darkness is what's responsible for the ratings maybe not being where they want it to be. Because, like, again, I'll stand by this till the day I die. Probably the best cartoon ever made on television was Avatar: The Last Airbender. That cartoon was insanely good.
But that wasn't on Disney XD.
That wasn't on Disney XD. It was on Nickelodeon. And it was popular, and everybody who's seen it loved it. But I can't speak for the numbers, but I'm sure when that was coming out, it wasn't, pulling in SpongeBob type of
well, SpongeBob is awesome.
SpongeBob is awesome, but it's a mainstream awesome, and these shows just kind of, they slip under the radar. I didn't know about Avatar until after the fact. So I think that there's just something about cartoons where if you're in the middle ground in terms of ratings, like it's kind of like a no man's land, like you're stuck there. It's like development hell. You're either getting crazy ratings like SpongeBob and everybody's watching you time and time again, or like Ben 10 or Paw Patrol or those other shows that the kids love.
Which they're directed solely at children.
I
mean, yeah, SpongeBob has a few adult jokes there, but it's not dark. It's not exposition.
Nobody's turning to the dark side in Paw Patrol.
No, I mean, even when there's an adult joke
on the light side all the time.
Even when there's a joke that we would get, SpongeBob would be like, ah!
Yeah, exactly. So I couldn't tell you. Like, I don't really know how the world of animation on TV works. So I couldn't tell you what's behind the ratings in general. But you would think as a Star Wars show, with Star Wars being so popular, that Rebels would just constantly be, if not number one, then in the top 3. Like, as long as it's on the air.
Well, last year for season 3, which we're not into yet, but it aired Saturday nights at 8. And season 2, I think, was like, it was earlier. I don't know if it was a Saturday, but I think it was earlier, like at night, so that people could watch it. Saturday at 8 o'clock doesn't seem like a time that people will sit down and watch Disney XD.
No, you're right. Know? And I think that that brings up a good point. The network has a responsibility to kind of pimp this out as much as they can, and sometimes they don't do that. Like I've never seen an ad for Rebels ever.
Well, you don't have Disney XD.
I don't have Disney XD, but like, why don't they, make that like Star Wars merchandising is everywhere. Star Wars is always in your face. Why can't there just be like a billboard that says "Watch Rebels"? I mean, there's a billboard that says "Watch Billions" with Paul Giamatti or whoever's in that show. Like, there's a billboard that says "Watch." Like, there's billboards for Game of Thrones. Not everybody has HBO, so why not pimp it out? I mean, the same thing happened to another one of my favorite cartoons, Futurama. Futurama had the worst. Fox treated them like garbage in terms of advertising them, and what happened? They got canceled 3 times.
Well, the shows you just mentioned on billboards were adult shows.
They were adult shows, but I mean, advertising works on kids too, right? Where were the Rebels Happy Meal toys? Were those ever a thing?
Yes, where is that stuff? And when you walk into the store, I just showed you. I got the new Kylo Ren on Force Friday. Just regular action figure, couple bucks, whatever. Where like. They hide the Rebels figures in with those ones to kind of get them all into one. But why not make Rebels its own? Why not make your selling point Rebels and at Christmas time Rebels? Anyway, this is. So I just your opinion on that. Like, does the darkness hurt or help? And I think maybe I don't know where it stands. It's almost like when Disney does do their streaming service, their streaming site, a show like this, I think they could go even further into. In a lot of ways. So we'll see. I mean, I've always thought the animation world and the live action world are two, not just for Star Wars, everything, two very separate entities. As much as this has to do with this, they're very, very separate. because we talked about this. I just don't think animated characters do not translate into live action.
No.
They just don't. It's just one of those things that we just. Are you okay?
Yeah.
We just don't accept it. We never really have, and so that's why. Anyway, I just wanted to know what you thought of that because we're going to talk about death.
Yeah, death is a hard topic, and it really hits Ezra hard. I mean, his parents are gone, and it takes this other prisoner to tell him that. And now he has to, he can't even say goodbye to his parents. And one of the saddest things is that they haven't been dead for very long, according to this man. They've been dead maybe from the past 3 episodes. Like they were dead for a short period of time. They heard the transmission he sent at the beginning of season 2, I think. So they were close to being alive right up until like this last bit of last few episodes. And Ezra, of course, he breaks down and Kanan like holds him. It's a very beautiful moment. It's, again, like I said, it's a rare moment for cartoons. It's something that I hope the show does more of going forward, especially because it's ending. Give us some more of that heavy stuff. I'm ready for it. We see more of Ezra's dark side because of how invested he is in his parents. He almost kills the Inquisitors. They lose the planet Varel as a base. Like, everything that could go wrong happens here.
And it's nice that because they need to lose that base
for
exactly. What's going to come.
Yeah, that's got to pave the way.
Yeah.
But it really, at least it ended on a hopeful note where Ezra finally accepts the Ghost crew as his family. He's like, I have a new family. And that's sweet. Like he has taken them into his life, into his heart. So it's nice that our boy Ezra can, a door was closed, but now he can open a window, which is great. And now we go on to episode 12 of season 2, A Princess on a Lothal.
What princess?
I don't know. Which princesses have we met so far in Star Wars, James? Let's count them off. The Queen from episode 2,
That's
who
not a
was on
princess?
Naboo. She's not. Well, yeah, you're probably right. That's all. That's the only one I can think of.
Leia.
And her, yeah. Leia's in this episode.
Do you like her voice?
I do. Is it the same one from what's that new show called?
No, the new show is awful. I'm pretty sure they're different.
What's that show called again? The new one?
Forces of Destiny.
Forces of Destiny. I keep
I like
thinking
their
Detours.
figures.
I keep thinking of that.
No, Detours was Seth Green.
Yeah.
That'll look good.
No, yeah, I like the voice we got here. I think she did great. She nailed the sarcasm. She nailed the youth because she's supposed to be younger. And I'm actually in the midst of reading Claudia Gray's new Leia book right now, and that's the voice that I hear. I don't even hear Carrie Fisher right now because Leia in that book is 16, so it's 3 years before New Hope. I'm hearing this voice actress who's, sorry, I should have written down her name, but I mean, she's pretty much the biggest guest star we've had on the show, I think, to this point. Like, as far like the biggest guest character, she's bigger than Yoda, bigger than Lando. Like, she is.
Oh yeah,
she's the big one. Probably next to Vader, I guess, if you want to count Vader. And the timing works so well because Ezra just lost his parents. Leia is his age, and there's that great moment where Ezra's just sitting in the gun part. I forget what that's called, the gunnery station of the ship, and he's everybody can tell he's wrecked. He's in a bad mood because of what happened. And Leia's like, "What's his problem?" And Kanan tells her exactly what his problem is, and he says, "You're his age. Maybe he needs somebody to talk to his age. Why don't you go talk to him?" And it works out so well because Leia sits down, she talks to him, albeit briefly, but she's like, "Look, I never knew my real parents, but the ones that I have, the ones who took me under their wing, who adopted me, I love them more than anything." And that love goes both ways. So she's like, the same thing, you got the same deal here. Your real parents might be gone, but you have this new family who you guys found each other. It wasn't a circumstance of birth. You guys found each other and you take care of each other. She's like, that's a beautiful thing. That's a real family. And that really picks Ezra up and gives him what he needs. That's exactly what he needs right now. I just wish that conversation had been a little bit longer because it's so touching.
22 minutes.
22 minutes. That's all we got. So the Leia character, I think she knocked it out of the park.
And she fit, unlike some of the other cameos that we spoke about a few episodes ago. Leia fits. Leia makes sense on this show.
Yeah, and she's very consistent with the Leia we meet at the beginning of A New Hope. Like she's so duplicitous towards the Empire. Like she'll run up and be like, "Oh my God, those rebels! They just tried to take my ship. Go stop them!" And as soon as the stormtroopers run away, she's like, "Idiots!" And then like she goes and like messes something up. Like she's so good at that. She's just got to BS her way through everything, which is great. What do we have here? Sorry. I have a never tell me the odds to ask you. What are the odds?
Zero.
The odds involve me, we're Gascon, so you're probably right. What are the odds that we will see Leia again in season 4?
Oh. Huh. Am I allowed to go full Brock?
Absolutely.
Oh, man. Gee, that's a great question. It would make sense, I think. But also, it makes sense for her not to be there. Because everything from the trailers that we've seen, when they're on Yavin and whatnot, and Bail Organa's there, but I think Bail's a hologram. It always makes sense that she wouldn't be there because she's still doing the facade. She's playing that role. The only thing is when you watch A New Hope, Vader's like, you've kind of been deceiving us for the last time, so maybe she could be doing more. I'm going to go 51%. Just above a full Brock. Because I don't know, but I feel like it makes so much sense unless we're watching this story and she's at this story. Do you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
Like unless their stories intertwine, then I'm not too sure. But I'm going to go 51. What do you think?
I'm going to go 73. I think it's very likely, but you're right. There's still a great chance that it could just be, listen, she is either too far ahead on the front lines at this point, or she's too incognito.
Yeah.
Like she's not in that middle ground where our characters typically occupy. So that's why I wouldn't go any higher than 73.
Yeah. Either way will make sense.
Yeah.
She being mentioned, I think, is 100%.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even if it's just like even if we just get like a hologram for like 2 seconds where she's like, Leia here, I'm at, Mos Eisley doing whatever.
She could be Fulcrum this season.
She could be. And I'm waiting to see in the book if they tell her about Ben Kenobi. Because at one point her dad has to tell her about Ben Kenobi, so I'm waiting to see if that happens in the book, and if it doesn't, season 4, baby.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. So let's move on to episode 213, The Protector of Concord Dawn. We get a new planet, Concord Dawn, which means that's right, James, we're at 9 planets now. Rebels, you are raking in the
It's one of those, that map of the galaxy book.
It's obsolete after like 5 minutes.
Get out of here. Dave Filoni's like, I'm going to fix that.
That's why, like, part of me, as much as I love Star Wars, part of me can't wait until they say, yeah, we're done making movies, just so I can get that one last book that's like complete and I'll never have to update it again.
Good luck.
I know, right? So
don't wait too long.
Yeah, I won't hold my breath for that. So we get Concord Dawn, which is the Mandalorians wrecked the hell out of this planet. It's like it looks like a bowling ball that's been blown up and there's just chunks everywhere. Like you can see the core of it. And this is our first taste, I think, of Sabine's Mandalorian roots. This is our first look at, we meet Fen Rao, who is like a very active Mandalorian soldier, and at this point, not really loyal to anybody. Like he'll kill Empire and Rebel alike. And later on, he becomes a much bigger character. But we meet him, we learn a little bit more about Sabine and her connection to him and to these different clans. The Mandalorian thing is very deep and complex. There's a lot going on there. Fen Rao, when we meet him, he mentions that he was a pilot at the Battle of Megiddo, which was the battle where Ki-Adi-Mundi died at the end of Revenge of the Sith. So he was there at that point, which is kind of neat. And apparently, this episode came out at the same time as an issue of the Kanan comic that shows that Battle of Megiddo.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So that was really neat. That like I was just looking up the episode, and it said, like when this came out, I think around the same week or month, that issue of the Kanan book came out, which is great. That's how you do it. story group. That's how you make canon cool. Now at this point, after watching this episode, I don't know about you, but I am more sure than ever that the new cartoon won't be about Sabine and the Mandalorians.
Really?
Yeah, because we've been seeing this Mandalorian backstory of hers since this point, which is 213. And if you've already seen, if you're like up to date on the show, you know that the meat of everything happens in season 3 in terms of the Mandalorians. And if we're getting this early taste of Mandalorians all the way back in like the middle of season 2, I think that once we're done Rebels, they've told us everything we need to know about Mandalore. And we've seen so much of it in Clone Wars too. Like, I don't think that there's much left with her clan and everything to build a whole show around. Like, I don't know how that's going to work. What do you think?
I think I'll answer that question when we get to season 3.
That's called teasing, kids.
Yeah, stay tuned in 1 month's time.
So this is Fen Rao's first appearance. If you're keeping track, and he is a very important guy. And that's Protector of Concord Dawn. It's a very simple episode. It's just Kanan. It's the first time we get Kanan and Sabine really paired up. That, you know, they do a lot of great little pairings on the show between the crew, and Kanan and Sabine usually, they barely have 2 words between each other, but this is where we really see them team up. He's the same kind of like father figure / big brother figure to her as he is to Ezra, which is nice. And we get that first great taste of Sabine's past, which will really, really make season 3 a heavy hitting season once we get there. So that is it for this episode of I Rebel. We got through 4 episodes, and we're going to plow through 4 more next time too. So stick around, and we'll see you next weekend.
Are we wrapping it up, season 2?
Next weekend, 1, 2, I can tell you right now. No. Next weekend, we will not wrap up season 2.
So when season 2 wraps, it'll be September 30th will be our last episode of season 2 for I Rebel. On October 1st, season 3 will start.
Yes.
That'll be the first weekend we double them up.
Yeah, we're going to really start doubling. We're going to do 5 in each, and then we're just going to plow ahead. And by that time, we'll be right in tune with season 4.
We'll be 2 weeks away.
It's going to be so sexy. So we'll see you there. And then, until next time, keep on rebelling.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.